It's only meant to pique interest, the mind. And once the interest is piqued, you need to go through an experience in order to learn. So this is a very important principle to understand about the universe. I will understand more of the universe if I understand more about love. There's a practical reason for understanding love. And that is, you won't understand anything else unless you understand love. It's fundamentally the way God created the universe. Now, when I'm in disharmony, there is now limits in those things. As soon as I'm disharmonious with love, my intellect is now limited, my emotions are now limited, my senses are now limited. Right? And the areas in which I am disharmonious with love will be co-related with the areas in which these senses and mind and emotions are dulled, where they're limited. So there can be some areas where I have no problem with love in that area, and so I can be less limited. But there's other areas where I have a huge problem with love, and so I have severe limitations. It's very important to understand that fundamental fact if you ever want to understand how the universe works. Because everything is going to be based upon the love that is present. Harmony with love means that you are going to retain an open mind, an open heart, an open emotion, and open senses to the experience. Disharmony with love means you're going to be closed-minded, closed-hearted, closed senses, closed emotions, closed experience. It's a fundamental principle about how the universe works. Ulf?
So does that mean that until I am in the seventh sphere, my ability to learn will be more or less reduced?
It's not as cut and dried as what you're saying, because if you think about it, if you're in the first sphere, then your disharmony with love is such. Let's say the love of the perfect natural man is the sixth sphere, and you're in the first sphere. Then the disharmony with love is so great that there's a lot of things you will not understand, and you won't be able to experience, and you won't be able to feel them while you're in that state, right? But then when you get to the second sphere, what happens? Now you're more harmonious with love. So what will happen is that as a result of you being more harmonious with love, there's more things you will understand. And you'll understand them not just in your mind, but you'll actually go through the experience, the sensory and emotional experience, that is less limited because you're now in a better state. Now, you asked about the seventh sphere. There are things to do with the one with God you have no understanding of unless you enter the seventh sphere. You just won't ever understand them. But even that is a growing process, because in the third sphere, or in the spirit world in particular, this is in the third sphere, you can learn things about that love, and then you will understand things that other people in the third sphere don't understand, because they haven't had that love. Okay, that makes sense? So it's not a sort of thing where you just draw a line in your development, you go, above that I'm loving so I understand, and below that I'm unloving so I don't understand. Every single part of your experience is going to be governed by this. In every place you could ever exist, on earth, in the spirit world, wherever you exist, it's all going to be governed by the limitation of the love you have. And the more severe the limitation of love, the more limited your mind is, the more limited your senses are, the more limited your emotion is. And this is what I find very ironic. Many people on earth are in a first sphere condition and so therefore very disharmonious with love. But they believe in their mind they understand a lot of things, almost everything. And they have no idea how self-deluded that is. And this is what I'd classify as arrogance. Wait for that. The problem with that is that we are, by believing our mind is powerful, when actually not understanding how the human body is made and even the universe is made, we are fundamentally believing something that is not even real. So it's interesting when I come to talk to a person who's dominated by their intellect, that I can answer their questions very directly and straightforward and honestly, but they still have no grasp of my meaning. And if you read the Paget messages, right, you'll see there's many times that people who are dominated by their intellect go to a person in a different condition and they try to ask them questions, and what's the thing they say when they receive the answer? I don't get it. Like, I hear the words, I hear him speaking, I hear them, I think, but I don't get it. I think, but I don't get it. And so this is the problem with learning on earth, is that the more intellectually developed a person thinks they are, they actually do believe they're very clever. But it's even worse, because not only are they not very clever, they're also frequently completely misunderstanding where they're not clever. Like, an example of that is AI. Let's look at AI. Some people who thought they were very clever are making the software driving AI and making the hardware driving AI. But the whole fact that it's called artificial should already be a red flag, right? But it's not real intelligence, it's artificial intelligence. It's intelligence created by an artificial view, right? It's not going to give you any understanding of emotion. It can use words but not understand the emotion. It doesn't understand the sensory experience. It doesn't have senses. It has apparatus that feed into it that mimic senses, but it's not real, right? So none of it is actually real. How stupid can we be creating something that is not actually real and then trusting it? That is the pinnacle of stupidity. That's different than creating a tool and then saying, well, it's trustworthy in a certain area. But when we create a tool that we then trust with our life, we are intensely stupid. That's an example of how a very intelligent person can be intensely stupid. And another example is how many of the people who created AI have actually said that it's going to destroy humans. Like, a large number say there's at least a 20% chance of all human life on Earth being destroyed by AI. Right? Why would you create something that had the potential, even a 20% potential, in your brilliant mind? Why would you create the thing that has a 20% of potential of destroying you? It is not a logical thing to do. You understand? It's not emotionally logical, sensorially logical, or even intellectually logical to do such a thing. And yet they've done it. So that's an example how a person who believes themselves to be so intensely clever can actually be so intensely stupid. Does that make sense at all? So because love's not involved, see, what's driving AI? It's just money, isn't it? For the most part. Yeah? Money and the ability to work less by some people who are rich. Because the poor people are not going to be able to afford it. So it's only going to be the people who are rich, right? So it's all about how the rich people get richer and have less and have more money and therefore boss more people around. That's really what it's all about. It's very out of harmony with love. Out of harmony with love, very stupid to do. Right? That's different than the creation of a car. Car's more in harmony with love. It's not perfectly in harmony with love yet, right? And it could be. We have the intelligence to make it be perfectly in harmony with love when we haven't, right? But it is more in harmony with love than AI, because it provides motivation, means, socialisation, people transport, all sorts of things that are good for humanity to enjoy and experience more. So it's more in harmony, not perfectly in harmony, because if you were perfectly in harmony, you'd be able to transport yourself and you wouldn't need it, but it is at least partially in harmony with love compared to other creations, like a hammer. Well, it has pros and cons, doesn't it? Like a knife. Pros and cons, yeah? But things that are harmonious with love and then used harmoniously with love are going to have a good result and therefore demonstrate true intelligence. True intelligence involves a mixture of your mind, your senses, and your emotions. That's true intelligence, right? A person who's just clever intellectually and doesn't incorporate the other two areas of their life is stupid, because the mind is running without any inputs. Remember we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, wasn't it? No, when I was talking about truth, remember? It was a couple of weeks ago. Remember I said that your determination of truth requires far more than your mind, right? Your mind is like a machine that has all these inputs that then it makes assessments about. Many of those inputs, the majority of them in fact, are sensory inputs. And many of them are also emotional. There's emotional inputs going into your mind, and as a result of the emotional inputs and the sensory inputs, your mind is able to make wiser choices and decisions. If those sensory inputs and those emotions do not exist, then fundamentally your mind is like a sponge soaking up everything without being able to determine the pros and cons of anything. Right? Very dangerous to have a mind like that. Right? When the mind and the senses and the emotions are in harmony with love, now we can truly learn the universe. When the mind, the senses and the emotions are out of harmony with love, we are now fundamentally flawed in our learning ability. And unfortunately, that's where the majority of humanity is. That's why even a television producer will tell you that the average person on earth is like a 12-year-old. And they're making shows to appeal to a 12-year-old. Right? Because none of us have grown up with our senses and our emotions. We're fundamentally babies still with our senses and our emotions. And as a result of that, we have huge limits.